Hello, so welcome to yet another tutorial. So in this tutorial, we are going to explore how we can integrate our unit tests with the real dependencies. And with that, we are going to use test containers. So this is an open source project, and you can really find virtually every other container, and you can work on it with different programming languages. So we are going to use Go. I have a project that I'm going to use to demonstrate this. The code is pre-written, but I'm going to give a walkthrough on what happens, where, and when. So this is a sample project. Let me see if I can improve the font size, appearance, zoom. Yeah. Okay, I hope that is good enough. So yeah, this is a sample project that I was working. I was trying to go and look at how HTMX works and all that. So yeah, so I have a front end, I have a back end, and our area of concentration is going to be in the database package where we have the database queries. So these are our generated database queries. So how we generate these database queries and functions using SQL. I have a video about it. You can check it, though the quality and the sound is really bad, but you can check it. It is one of my videos that I created, and it's really not a good one, but the concept is there. So how we are going to do this is we write our test in our main test. So in our main test, instead of connecting to a real database and writing to it, we use the test containers package. So you can yeah, this package here, and these are the test container packages that we use. So we use the test container Go, we use the wait, and then we use the modules Postgres, because we are doing integration test to a Postgres database. So we initialize an empty in our test main. We initialize an empty t.testing object, and then we get a context background, and then now the juicy part is we set up a container. So yeah, so a test container with the image, we are using Postgres, so that, and then the database name, you set up the test DB, the username, and then the password, and then the strategy. So database is ready to accept connection. So we will wait for 5 seconds for a startup time, so that when the database is ready to connect to accept connections, that's when our other tests run. And then we are going to, if we get an error from creating the Postgres container, we are going to log it here, and then we are going to, this is the cleanup. You can defer the cleanup, so that this is a cleanup function that we uses the t testing object, so that after your containers run, you you can clean them, you remove them. So what do we need? So we need to create this container and then connect to it. So by the connection string you can get from, yeah, this function. The test container returns a context, and takes a context and a string, and then it returns a string and an error. So with that you can easily get the connection string. So with the connection string we've obtained from the test container, we are going to create a connection pool using pgx5. We create a pgx connection pool, and then we, yeah, so for you to run this in to run the test, you need database migration. So after you've created the connection pool and all that, you need to run the database migration. So I have a package here called migrations. So what the migration does is it gets the path. This one is not necessary. This one was for debugging. So we get the path for migrations. The migrations files are here. So we get this file and then we run the migrations in our test database created by the test containers. So after that, we create a new store. So these are just these are interfaces that I use mostly when developing with Postgres. So the query interface is embedded in the store interface so that we can inherit some of its values, and then there is a function to create an SQL store. So the beauty of this is if you want to create another store, let's say you have MongoDB and you want to port the functionalities of this, you can just create a Mongo store that implements this interface. If it implements this interface, you can plug it and play as we go. So the new store, it will just return a store object with a connection and all that. It takes a connection pool and returns a store object. So when all that is done, we run our test. So that is the setup for setting up a real test container during your test runtime. So here are my tests, and here are my tests, and you see we are connecting now to a real database. I can create a tutorial on how to write this units test and all that. If you need that, you can tell me in the description below. But these are our tests that we want to run inside a temporary Docker container created by this package called test containers here. So after you set your main test.go, I think you can just do a make test. And the interesting part is this part here. You see, we are creating a container and then we are starting the container. When the container is started, we are waiting for it to be ready to accept connections on port 8080, and then it's notifying us that the container is ready, and then the image used, and then container starting the container, all that. And then now we run the migration. After running the migrations, as you can see from this line, the migrations have run successfully, and then now we are doing the test while using a real database in a Docker container. So these tests, you can integrate them inside your GitHub workflows as integration tests. So after you set up a GitHub workflow like this, when you commit any changes, let's see if we can write one test and see. Yeah, so this is one of my tests. Test queries, add user to a group. So we create a random group, we create a random user, we create a random group, and then we get the add user to group params. You need a user ID and a group ID to add, and then we do test add user to group. We pass the context.background and all that. So when I run this, I think it should pass. Yeah, so this is it. When you run it, it creates the container, runs the test inside the container, and then exits. And I think this is just really beautiful. You turn your unit test into integration test by running it inside real containers. So I think that will be it for the video. If you like this content, please subscribe. I need to get to 1,000. Thank you.